All right, on this episode of Bare Knuckle Bowker, very excited to be talking to an individual set to compete at BYB 36 Cardiff Brawl 2, which goes down on February the 1st. And returning to the BYB Mighty Trigon is Jack Marshman as he takes on Alex Wilson. And great having Jack on Bare Knuckle Bowker for the first time. How you doing, man?
Yeah, really good. Thanks, mate. Yeah, obviously looking forward to the fight and ready to go.
And just, everything with the debut, I'd be curious to get your insights on that because you returned from a bit of a hiatus, like a few years on the sidelines, and just what a first round stoppage in that BYB debut at BYB 32 and everything like that. Or just, yeah, your whole effort and everything like that in BYB with the big debut against Carl Craig there at the initial Cardiff Brawl card, actually, the BYB 30 card in August. My apologies. But all the same, just thoughts on the performance. Like it seemed like you overcame a bit of early
Yeah,
adversity and first round finish and everything. So a lot going on.
yeah, it was a terrible performance, the worst performance I've ever had in my career. I didn't train for the fight. I didn't take it seriously. Didn't do anything for it. I wasn't taking the sport seriously. I didn't really want to fight. I just sort of stepped in because they was coming to Cardiff, which is local to me. Um, but in hindsight, it was good because it gave me a kick up the ass, and I'm a different fight. I'm back to where I used to be. I'd probably say my boxing's improved from my UFC days, which is obviously my strongest point back then. I say my boxing's even better. But yeah, that performance, the first fight was fucking terrible. It was the worst performance I've ever had. And when you knock someone out in under 2 minutes, and I've dropped him twice in under 2 minutes, and you're walking away disappointed, my level's a lot higher than what I showed that night. So just looking forward to showing it on this one. I got a much better fight. Like no disrespect to Carl Craig because he's a banger, he can hit hard and stuff, but technically he's not really great. That sounds so rude. I don't mean it like that because he'll get in there at the end of the day and he'll fight anyone. So he's a tough guy, and I got respect for him. But like level wise, I shouldn't have been caught with anything stupid off him. I shouldn't have been, I just weren't really there. Whereas with Alex, I know that he's good. I know he's very good. So I've trained harder than I have in fucking 10 years. I'm working my bollocks off for this fight. So you know, I did see an interview. Well, no, I didn't see an interview. I read something that Alex said, and I think he's well aware that last fight weren't really me. I know that we got a lot of mutual friends, so he knows I'm training hard. And I think he's fully expecting the proper me to turn up this time. So we're gonna have a good fight.
And that BYB 32 debut I mentioned was actually Alex Wilson's. I'm curious what your thoughts were on that first round knockout he secured in his Trigon debut, since we're talking about BYB debuts and stuff like that.
Um, which one was that? I was there for when he knocked the guy out in London on the last BKB show. Did he fight on the Cardiff show? Did he?
He fought a couple cards later because your
Oh,
fight was on the BYB 30 card and his was 32 there. So, yeah.
right. Yeah. No, so I don't watch a lot of my opponent. I seen Alex's knockout on the last ever BKB show because I was up there cornering Gareth Williams. Um, yeah, I do look into things a little bit, but I don't watch a lot of tape and stuff. But I do look into it, and I think Alex is a realist, the same as me. I should have knocked out Carl Craig. I should have beat him. So I don't deserve a pat on the back for that. I should have won. The last two guys that Alex Wilson have knocked out, he should have knocked them out. So I can't take a lot from it, or I can't take a lot away from it. He went out and done exactly what he should have done. Because if he hadn't knocked them out, I would have looked at him a bit like, oh, maybe he isn't on the level. Where and that's, again, I don't mean disrespectful to it because I hate people talking shit about other opponents, and it's not. I don't mean it that. I'm just well aware of where the levels are at and whatnot. And the last two boys he've knocked out, he should have knocked them out, and he went out and did that. So I can't take anything from it, and I can't take anything away from it. So yeah, I try not to look too much into things. Alex is a tough guy. I know he's good. I've seen little snippets of him, and I watched his one knockout live. and he got good boxing ability, and he can hit. So and that's much like me. My boxing ability is high, but I got heavy hands. So it's a good fight. I can imagine it being fight of the night, but the way I'm training, the way I'm feeling, even though I like Alex, I think he's in for a real bad night. But I'm sure he feels the same. Yeah.
Yeah, and it seems like how you're talking about everything too. It seems like your approach to the fight game is less about that, get into the minutia of studying everything possible on your opponent, and it's more focused on you just refining things that you want to refine on, like the way you talked about your BYB debut and how you're talking about things heading into this fight. Like it seems like your focus on fights seems like more oriented to, I guess, like personal refinement versus like studying every bit of tape possible on your opponents. Is that a fair way to characterize that?
Yeah, yeah, it is, and I've been like that through my whole career. But you got to bear in mind, I've been around. I've had a lot of fights, a lot of places. I fought all over the world. I fought at the highest levels, and I've fought good boys. I've boxed at an high level. I've fought MMA at an high level. It becomes less about caring about any of the nonsense side of it. Don't get me wrong. I've seen Alex do things, and it's things that I've worked on in training. But then I am fully focused on that. I know what I can do. I know what I'm capable of, and as long as I'm firing on all cylinders, which I am currently, I don't think I can't see anyone beating me in that division. So yeah.
Well, you've such a unique pedigree heading into it because, as you articulated well there, high level backgrounds in both mixed martial arts and boxing, just a former Lonsdale British champion and several big UFC fights and now a BYB fight underneath you. Like, I feel like you would be able to get best of both worlds from glove boxing and MMA, but also it seems like you look at bare knuckle boxing as like a separate discipline in and of itself as much as there's crossover elements from your career.
Yeah, it's a weird one for me because I had my last UFC fight, um, and I sort of thought I'd call it a day after that because I'd reached where I wanted to go and done all that. Um, I put a lot of weight on. I went real fat. uh, and then I started training, got fit again, lost weight, and then the buzz come back to. And I seen the bare knuckle and the bare knuckle because bare knuckle been around for years, even when I was fighting. And I'd been. Obviously, I ain't stupid. I know it's been around for hundreds of years, but I mean, it's in the last sort of 5-7 years, it started getting quite big, and again, and they started having all these sanction shows all over. So I was watching it, and I had a few friends locally that fought at good levels, and so I was watching it, and then I thought, I got the buzz back for training. I'm not gonna lie, I'm seriously considering going back towards the MMA route now because my my MMA pedigree is high, and I'm fit, healthy. I train hard. I'm killing myself for this fight. I'm working harder than when I was fighting in Madison Square Gardens in front of 50,000 people and stuff. I'm training like this is the biggest fight of my life. So I've got that buzz. I got that bug back. MMA is a possibility as well. But for now, I'm fully concentrating on being that girl. I'm fully concentrating on Alex Wilson, see what happens. And I think there's only one person ranked in front of Alex that isn't the champion. So I think I see what happens there. My personal how I look at it, I think I go out and I get a good win over Alex. I think I stop him. I think I stop him in good fashion too. So does that leave me open to a title fight with it's Cub Hawken, I believe, is the 81 champion. I think I'm not. I don't. Again, I don't follow it too much, but maybe that's a possibility. And if that's a possibility, I'll stick to the bare knuckle. If I get offered bigger money and bigger fights in the MMA, that's what I'll do. Is at the end of the day, I'm not doing this as a living anymore. I've got to, I'm back in the military and I do that as a living. But if I'm going to fight, I want to get paid at the same time.
Yeah, no, hear you out. I mean, I guess it's just good to have options, right? Like you're in a multi-fight deal with BYB, which seems like there's a lot of upward mobility and I mean, great MMA pedigree, Cage Warriors and Bama titles to your credit. And like I said, fought in the UFC. So I guess just good to have options across several combat sports and especially so because like you said, your primary focus in terms of like a career, I guess, would be like your military work and stuff
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. So it seems like a good spot to be in a lot of regards
Yeah.
for you, I guess.
So when I say that, the reason I keep saying this is because the fact is this isn't my career anymore. I'm doing it for the love of it, which is the most important part. Because towards the back end of my like MMA career, I sort of fell out. Like I turned professional at the age of 18. You know, so like by the time I had my last MMA fight, now I was like 31. So it's like 13 solid years of competing and fighting at high level, and I sort of fell out of love with it. Whereas now I got the love back for all combat sports. So, like I said, my debut, I just stepped in. I didn't train for it. I didn't turn up to any of the press things. I didn't do any. I had no interest in it. I just wanted to fight. But I'm glad that happened in a way because it was a big kick up the arse I needed because I think anyone who follows my social media has seen how hard I'm training. I think Alex is well aware how hard I'm training. He knows it's not the same guy turning up this time. It's the old me, which is a tough night for any fucker. So
Yeah, well, I'm seeing all this great work you seem to be getting in with Kieran Harding and James Connelly, another high level BYB fighter. So, yeah, it seems like you're getting in great work with some high level guys.
yeah, like I was always known for my boxing ability in the MMA world, but I honestly feel because a lot of things have changed in my life in the last sort of 6 months. Lots of things have completely changed my lifestyle and what I'm doing and stuff. And I think everyone has, like, and I think my boxing ability is the best they've ever been. Even though I'm 35 years of age, it's better than when everyone rated my boxing so highly in the MMA and stuff. And I like nobody wanted to strike with me. My boxing is 10 times better than that now. At the age of 35, it's just all come together. I'm sparring like Kieran is. Okay, his boxing ability is amazing. Like you're in for a treat with his bare knuckle debut. He is high level. Probably the best guy I've sparred, I think, but boxing wise. Kennelly's obviously good. He's a bit more like me. Kennelly likes to bang it out. Me and him had a good spar. 6 rounds, having it out. He's a good guy. But yeah, no, my boxing's come on no ends, and I just feel fully focused now, which I haven't been even towards the back end of my career. I weren't really fully focused. Now, yeah, I think you're in for a treat.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, your track record definitely speaks to that. I've always found you to be an exciting fighter for sure. But you referenced your last MMA fight, at least as of this interview. We've kind of touched on that in a bit of a cursory way. You fought Sean Strickland, obviously one of the bigger names in the sport today. Like, I'd be curious to get your thoughts on how you see his upcoming title bid in that rematch against Dricus du Plessis playing out.
I thought he won the first time. Du Plessis is very good. You know, I like not just because I've had a fight with Strickland, but because yeah, I like his style. He's here to have a fight. So Du Plessis will try to wrestle him. I think. You don't get me wrong. I'm well aware that with MMA you've got to be good everywhere, so you've got to be able to deal with that. But people want to see a fight, don't they? And that's what Strickland brings. So that's why I want him to win for no other reason. Then he's exciting. He brings it. He's here to have it out. And like me and him, we stood toe to toe. Didn't even try one takedown for 3 rounds. We just banged it out. And he'll do that with anyone. You've seen him against Azania. What I mean? Nobody's seen that coming, but he outstruck him. He's a good guy. So yeah, I think he wins it. I thought he won the last one. I think a lot of people did. It was close, but I personally would have given it to Strickland, and that's not because I fought him. That's just because how I scored it. I thought he won that fight. So yeah, it is an exciting fight. I got nothing against Du Plessis. He is an all-rounder as well. He will bang it out on feet, wrestle. He strikes when he grapples, as opposed to just smothering someone and staying on top of him. He does throw shots, which, like you get some of these wrestlers that are very boring when they get to opposition, and it's stolen a fight. He doesn't do that. He's much like a Khabib sort of character. When he takes you down, he's constantly working, throwing punches, making him move, until you give him something and fuck it up and you get caught. So he is very good, but I would prefer Strickland to win. And I like his personality and his his political views most of the time as well.
How do you think he would do in bare knuckle boxing? Does he strike you as someone that would have an approach that would, transfer over well to bare knuckle in your estimation?
Yeah, well, when I fought him, he was throwing. He throws. He kept asking me why I wouldn't go down and stuff, but he's not. In my opinion, he's not a massive puncher. Obviously, I know he dropped Arzania in a good way, but he's not a big puncher. He's more really accumulative. So in a 5 3-minute round fight, he'd probably cut people to rhythms because he's constant, bam, 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 and he's long and he's really difficult to hit because he does that stupid Philly shell thing that looks like you watch tape on him and think, I'll catch him, but he's really, really hard to hit. He's got a weird style that there ain't many guys in the gym that you can train with that does what he does. So that's what makes him difficult. But he's good. I think he'd be good in bare knuckle, and I think he's up for a fight. He's one of them. So that's half of the battle. Like bare knuckle fighters ain't crazy or anything. They're just tough guys who are well up for a fight. Anyone who gets in it, that's what I mean. That's why I hate. That's when I'm saying about my former opponent and stuff like that. I don't mean no disrespect. Any fucking guy who gets in there and duke it out bare knuckles has got a bit about him. Like,
Yeah, well said, man. And I'd be curious to get your thoughts on just, I guess, your involvement since the, merger with BKB, because you were mentioning earlier about how rather you'd cornered a fighter in BKB, and it seems like you were one of the big signees that they were, really quick to announce. I mean, obviously a guy with a high level pedigree, and it seemed like it came shortly thereafter the, I guess, acquisition announcement came. And I mean, obviously you had the great honor of being the first Welshman to fight in the UFC. Like, it seems like you were a big part of their, I guess, expansion into, the Wales market. Now they're doing like another follow-up show. Like, how does it feel to kind of be a part of all of this and everything?
yeah, good. Don't get me wrong. I do think I'm sort of a target. Mind, sort of, like I think not that the BYB guys don't like me or anything, but I do think they want their guys to beat. I feel like they want their guys to beat the ex UFC, and boost their name. But I'm especially now. You're seeing this next fight. I'm so far from done. I'm firing on all cylinders now. So I'll go. I'm looking forward to going out and because they really like this Archibald. So I like he's a good guy, but they hyping him up and bigging him up, and I'm looking forward to going out doing an absolute number on him, and then they ain't gonna have a lot to say, and they're gonna have to put me on a big fight, a big card, maybe another state fight in the States. Who knows? I don't know. I think they're coming back to Cardiff in April, but I'd like to see my mate Gareth Williams, actually, I'd like to see him main event the one in April, and then perhaps me and him get out in the States or something like that. I don't know, but we'll see what they offer. And like you said, I do think they signed me as a big name, but at the same time, I do think it's like they want to look good against me, if you know what I mean. That's how I might just take that personally, but I couldn't do a fucking. I'll fight anyone there, so it makes no difference to me. But yeah, I feel like if I go out and do a number on a guy that they rate in and big in up, and they really like, and they think I got, and there's no arguments. Then is there? They know where I'm at. They know my level, and they fingers crossed I'll be looking at the title fight soon, because I know Liam Rocky Reese, I think he had his title fight after the second. He'd had 2 fights and he fought for a title, so who knows? I could be close to it. I had, rankings wise, there's only one guy in front of me. I think it's the guy I'm fighting, ranked 3rd or whatever, and then I'm not sure what's happening with Dan Liu, because I think he retired, and then I don't know. But they all fight at like 89 kilo. I'm down at 81, so I don't really know what's going on with that. But as soon as I beat this guy, I'm looking to get matched up, and I either want a big fight, either states or something like that, or a big fight when they come back to Cardiff.
Yeah, I guess like either would be cool in a certain sense. I mean, obviously there's that partisan support fighting in Wales, but I mean, you've been a road warrior throughout your career, like fighting in my neck of the woods, Canada, and then fighting in Brazil, etc. So I guess either is probably fine for you, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's weirdly, like, these last two fights, the first times I've had to run around selling tickets, and I forgot what a ball ache that is, man. So fighting in the States would probably be a bit easier, but at the same time, it is nice to have the crowd there, and I have, you know, you sell a couple hundred of your own personal friends at ringside. It's quite nice. But at the same time, I'm fucking hell. I'm still running around. I got so many people who want tickets, but I haven't collected them yet. So it's all that nightmare. But that's part of it, I suppose. The show's got to sell. But yeah, I'm happy to fight in Wales or Cardiff. I don't. Weirdly, any of the other UK shows, I'm not really all that interested in. If they come to Cardiff, I believe they're going to Bristol again as well. So that's like 3 fights close to South Wales. So I'll take any of them or one in the States. I don't really want to be bouncing around the UK because, fill the cards up in Birmingham with boys from Birmingham. You know what I mean? I don't understand when they do that. They had like just before Christmas, Martin McDonough and Gachi was both fighting on a Wolverhampton card, and they had like 4 Welsh boys on a Wolverhampton card, knowing that they had a Welsh card in February. To me, it doesn't make no sense. And then they start panicking, worrying about tickets. It's like, well, we probably ought to put the Cardiff boys on in Cardiff and the Birmingham boys in Wolverhampton and Birmingham. It makes sense, wouldn't it? But I don't know. Yeah, I mean, either way, really, I'll fight wherever they offer. But don't expect me to try and 3.5 hour drive away from. Don't expect me to want to go up there and sell a load of tickets. It makes no sense to me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I totally hear you. It'd be way easier to just focus on the fight and kind of keep that noise out of the picture because yeah, that is such a thing in fighting. Like that's such like a thing across like fighters, just the difficulty like selling tickets to people saying they want tickets and then they're silent for a bit and then they're requesting a cartoonish amount like a couple days from the fight or whatever. Just wild that that's such a thing with fighters, but I guess that's just the classic tale of the hometown fighter in a certain sense, I guess, right?
Yeah, well, obviously, like years ago, I used to have to do it all the time, and then obviously, like when you go on to other shows and fighting abroad, now you haven't really got to worry about it. So I forgot the absolute nightmare that it is. But at the same time, you do get the privilege then of having all your friends and family close, and so it's a catch-22. It's hard work, but at the same time, it makes the night more special. Like when you have a good fight, and all your close family and friends and people who bought tickets off you were there, so it's good.
I guess something I wanted to ask you about because you mentioned you're, serving with the military again, and I'd seen a throwback post you had about winning Army boxing championships across, a tenure you had in the military previously years ago. What do your, I guess, compatriots think of what you're doing in bare knuckle right now? Like, do any of like your military peers have any kind of thoughts on your bare knuckle fighting efforts nowadays that they've expressed to you or anything like that at all?
Yeah, obviously all the blokes sort of love it. But it's a weird one because like I got out of the army just be like towards the back end of my back end of the UFC career. I got out of the army because they weren't really supporting it whatsoever, and so I've got back. I had like a 4 year out, and I've got back in now. But we're catching up with like America and Canada now, where they support in MMA and realizing not just MMA, but like boxing's always been big in the army. But they realize in jiu-jitsu and like because obviously we're soldier like combative sports are probably the best thing we can do. You know what I mean? Is like yeah, they're a lot more supportive of it now than when I got out. I got out for the reason that there was no support there for fighters, or it wouldn't help me out really. So, but now I've got back in, and it's like the landscape have completely changed over that 4 years. Like you go, jiu-jitsu teams. Every camp I've got a gym that people train in and fight and compete. And like I'll go meet the lads and just do bank circuits and get, like there's never nothing that you can't do. And it's so, and when they're all young soldiers and they're all like-minded up for a fight, and it's good. You're never gonna have nothing, no one not to train with, if you know what I mean. You're always gonna have someone who's well up for getting in and having a train, working hard. So, and they're all physically fit. So, I'm glad I got back in. Really, I've only been back in just a year now, a year in February. So I've been back in the army. So, I'm working towards like building up a pension and all that sort of stuff. But if I can do this at the same time and enjoy myself, because the whole point of it is just getting back to enjoying fighting. And I got in there last time and I was terrible, but I enjoyed the actual being in there, even though I weren't happy with how I performed and how I looked. But that was my own doing, so I don't want to show off about it. I knew that was my own doing, so I thought, you know what, fuck it, change everything, and I really have. My life completely changed in the last few months. So yeah.
No, that's cool to hear. That's why I partly thought to ask, I suppose, just because it seemed like during your UFC tenure, there wasn't maybe a great deal of support or cooperation as you had kind of outlined there. So that's awesome that such a massive shift has taken place in that regard, where you can, like you said, collect a pension, serve in the military and everything, but then also concurrently engage in combat sports for the passion of it. That must have been a huge thing for you to realize, like how much of I guess, a shift in that sort of perception or culture and everything like that. Like that must have been
Yeah,
a huge thing.
yeah, it's brilliant, and it's just I did, because I was having a whinge about it before, because it, like, they've been supportive of a lot of other sports, yet I always made a joke, like they got an army fishing team, um, and so people, go around the world fishing and doing all this thing. And I was fighting in the UFC, like fighting in Madison Square Gardens, Vegas, all these places, and they weren't supporting that. they weren't backing me. But and the way I always said it to people, right? So how many people have checked the sports channel on and checked fucking bobsleighing on and seen that there's a military team bobsleighing and gone, oh, do you know what? I want to join the army because there's bobsleighing? Or have they watched two blokes punching the fucking living daylights out of each other? I watched one of them, and he's a British soldier or an American soldier or a Canadian soldier, and gone, do you know what? I want to do that. That was more likely to get someone to join the army, is that, isn't it? Clearly. So I think they missed a trick with that years ago. I think like fighting and stuff like that is a brilliant advertisement for the right type of people that you want to get to join the army. Young fit men who are willing to have it out. They're the people you want on the front line. So yeah.
Yeah, it's just awesome to hear all of these things. It seems like I'm catching you at a really great time in your career and just your life overall, from what I can tell, man. So definitely a great
Yeah.
thing, and just I love to hear that, man.
Yeah, thanks. No, I really appreciate it. It is, like I said, lots of massive changes in the last few months, and it's just getting better and better. And now, I'm just looking forward to top it all off with a nice big win and straight back in the gym, which is like, even stuff like that. I've never been straight back in the gym after a fight. I know full well I'll fight on Saturday, and I feel confident that I'll get a good win, and I'll be back in the gym on Monday. I know I will. I know I'll do it as a psychological thing. I'll make sure that I'm in the gym on Monday. That's the type. Everything's changed. I wouldn't even thought of that. I would have, used to have a fight and you wouldn't see me in the gym for a few months until I got a phone call for another fight.
Well, it's interesting. It seems like you have such a renewed vigor in certain regards. Like you were mentioning some MMA opportunities and just, bare knuckle, kind of like a fresher path in a certain sense. And it seems like you could potentially be on a path to a title in this sport too. So it makes sense why there would be that excitement and that renewed vigor. I would also think it would probably benefit your lifestyle overall, just probably like a net positive for what you're doing in other, I guess, non-fighting kind of facets of your life.
Yeah. Well, the way I always say it, like I'm a realist. I ain't getting no younger. I am 35 this year. When I finished fighting, I had no plans on doing anything else again. But now I'm fit, healthy, living the right lifestyle. I'm now I think I got a few years left in me, and I can do a lot of different things, and I'm gonna do them. So whilst I still can, because I don't hit that 40 and think, oh, I wish I'd have done that. I wish I'd have done this, but I just turned 35, and I'm fitter and healthier than I've ever been in my career, because I was always nursing injuries and always had things wrong with me, and always perhaps weren't living it right. So yeah, things will change now, and I'm not trying to either, which is another thing. I'm not. It's not like I'm trying. I'm just enjoying the fights. I just want to fight. If I get offered a good opportunity, I'll take it. If I get offered a title fight in this, I'll take it. But it ain't like I need it to keep me in the gym. I'm in the gym anyway. I'm training hard anyway. But things seem to be popping up, and offers come in, and yeah, I'm looking forward to some big fights this year.
Yeah, and I wasn't even necessarily, I guess, intending to ask this question per se, but it just kind of came up from just some of the things we've been touching on, because I mentioned the training with James Connelly in recent times, and I'd seen you trained in New Mexico before your fight with Ryan James. Like, what were your thoughts on that fight with LT Nelson and James Connelly falling apart in New Mexico? Because like the commission wasn't sanctioning them for like the additional round, and there was a
Yeah,
lot of complications with that.
yeah. I just seen LT's response, and he's basically saying that he agreed to doing a 5 round fight, but it wouldn't be a title fight or something. And so I think it come from both sides actually. From what LT's saying, that could be right. Like, you take it all tongue in cheek. I don't know what really happened there. I feel, for the sake of losing a round, I don't know why you wouldn't just have the fight. I don't know. I don't know whether they was told it wasn't a title fight, or yeah, it's one of them ones I can't really comment, because I don't know the ins and outs. But if it was me personally, and I've fucking, we've like, because LT's not from New Mexico either, I don't think. They both flown somewhere to have a fight, and then they're there, and for the sake of fucking a 3 minute round, I would have just had to fight. So, um, and for me, like, titles and stuff don't really matter, so I wouldn't have really cared either way. But it's each to their own. I don't know what happened. The only thing I can say is, not slagging off the promotion, but I should have been fucking put to bed a long time before the week of the fight. You know what I mean? They knew they was going to New Mexico. They knew they had to speak to whatever commission it was. It shouldn't have got to the point where you've got two fighters thrown halfway across the world, and then get told that the rules have changed. The rounds have changed that week. It should have been that should have been all sorted and dealt with weeks in advance, and in weeks, months. When they signed the contract for 6 rounds, that should have been confirmed with the commission that it was going to be a 6 round fucking fight. Not turn up, on the Monday and be like, oh yeah, on Saturday we can't do that. But let's be real. They're not a new promotion, but Bare Knuckle's new, so they're going to have teething problems, aren't they? I say that like Bare Knuckle's new. Bare Knuckle's been around for hundreds of years, longer than any other sport, really. But it's coming into the 21st century, and it's sort of you know what I mean. It's quite new, and it's being televised mainstream and all this. So yeah, God knows. But I just feel the promotion should have had that all sorted out before, and it shouldn't have been put down to the fighters to be arguing on the internet about what rounds it is, because they both signed a fight for 6 rounds, didn't they? So yeah, then really their fault. But I would have been a soft touch and would have just said yeah. But I can understand why LT have turned around and said, "Fuck that. We've agreed to this, and I'm you changing it last minute."
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Like, I understand it's kind of a difficult thing to comment on in a certain sense. Like, yeah, I feel like I do agree with you. I mean, hopefully there's some hiccups sorted out for subsequent shows, because I think that was that specific promotion's first show in that market. So, yeah, hopefully a lesson learned there. But I've been chatting your ear off for a little bit here, Jack. I feel like I should let you get on with your day, but I figured I'd give you the floor if you had a final parting thought you wanted to add as we're wrapping up here, man. I appreciate you making the time.
Yeah, no problem at all. Thanks a lot for giving me the interview. Yeah, like I said, I'm looking forward to putting a show on February the 1st, and I'm hoping it leads to another big fight. But yeah, thanks for the interview, and it's been good talking to you.
Yeah, likewise, man. It'll be great checking out this fight coming up at BYB 36 Cardiff Brawl 2. And just, yeah, thanks so much for coming on Bare Knuckle Bowker ahead of this Alex Wilson fight. I'll certainly be checking things out on February the 1st when that goes down. But until then, you have a good rest of your day, man, and all the best with the remainder of your training.
Thank you very much, mate. Really appreciate it.